Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to another video from Marvel Strike Force. Now today we look at another X-Men character, and in this instance it will be Psylocke, character that I'm a big fan of. Now to let you know if she is worth unlocking, in this video we'll start off with a general overview that includes her tags and actually how you unlock her as well. We'll then have a look at her stats. Next up it's the abilities, and I'll tell you how high you want to level the abilities in that section. We then have the synergies. This is characters she can work well with and characters you want to avoid, or characters you can actually use to shut her down. And then finally we'll see where she places in the tier list. So we'll start off anyway with the general overview. Psylocke then, like quite a few characters we've looked at recently, could almost be a hybrid class in that she is officially a brawler, but she's got a lot of elements of controller and a kit as well, and it does provide her with a ton of versatility. Now when we look at her tags anyway, it's Hero, Global, Mutant, Brawler, X-Men and Martial Artist. X-Men tag is going to be incredibly strong once we get Phoenix and also Cyclops, and then you've got the Hero Brawler tag, which is very strong as it is with Miss Marvel, and we'll actually be getting America Chavez to make that even stronger as well there. Now when it comes to unlocking her, we have the campaign event that's live at the time of this video. It's running for 2 weeks. Once that's done, like most characters I would imagine, she'll eventually come to the Ultimus orbs and then she'll come to the premium orbs as well. But if you want to farm her now, get doing your refreshes on the campaign event. Now with the overview covered, let's have a look at our stats. We start off here with the offensive stats, and as you would expect for a brawler class, she does really well here. Her damage is way up at an A rating. She's got the 7th highest damage rating in the game at the moment, that is including Cyclops as well. Her speed is down at 93, which is a D, which is slow, but when we actually look at her abilities, you'll get to see why her speed is actually so slow. If she was too fast, her kit wouldn't really work that well. Now you then have her focus, which is up at an A. It's the 6th highest focus in the game at the moment. This is exceptionally important. Again, once we actually get to her kit, you'll be able to see why. Also from an offensive perspective, you have the fact that all 3 of her skills that are damage skills actually have full piercing as well, so it means you're completely negating armour, so that's really nice here, and it can help the damage certainly add up. Now let's have a look at the defensive stats. Defensive wise, she actually does pretty decent as well. Her health is up at a B, which is certainly very nice for a brawler. Her armour is way down at an E, that will be to offset the higher health pool. You have her resistance that comes in at a C, which is very much middle of the road. Not necessarily a bad thing when we look at the transfer of debuffs she can do, that resistance is a little bit on the lower side. Other aspects of her kit that can help her out defensively are the fact that she can gain evade and counter, and she also has resistance to disrupted as well. Now that's the offensive and defensive stats covered, so let's have a look at her abilities. We start off here by looking at the passive, and this is called Reinvigorate. Now this is actually really nice. So on spawn, when it's maxed out at level 7, you'll gain evade and counter. So that's an awesome combination. You're not taking any damage unless the attack is one that cannot miss, which not a great deal of enemies actually have, and then you're doing damage back yourself. Also with this, when an X-Men ally drops below 50% max health, and this does include Psylocke, then you apply evade and counter to that ally. If you are stunned, then it won't actually proc, and the way you can tell this, but I was able to test it, is when you have a character that they have a passive where they actually have to do an animation for it to work. If they're stunned, then it won't actually kick in. So that's just something to bear in mind there. Now to finish off the passive, you can gain 1000% resistance against disrupted, so that stops her from getting the disrupted debuff, which in turn would stop her getting the evade and counter if she drops below 50% health. So that really seems to be in there to specifically counteract Magneto and also Pyro. Now in regards to how high you want to take it, you want to max this one out, because the difference from 6 to 7 is that the on spawn evade and counter isn't guaranteed. It's only a 1 in 2 chance at level 6, whereas it's guaranteed at level 7, and you really need this on her, because if you don't have it, there's a chance the enemy team could actually apply a ability block that stops her from casting her ultimate, and potentially your team's stuck with a ton of debuffs on them. So make sure to max this one out. For the basic, we have a pretty simple skill here. It has one of the best finishing animations in the game, where she jumps over the enemy, fires a Psybo at them, and then starts lashing them with a Psy-Whip. It looks absolutely amazing. Now, this is called Psy-Knife. With this, you attack the primary target and it's full piercing damage, so it's 270% damage, and then for high base damage, it can actually hit pretty hard. Now, in regards to how high you want to take it, the difference from 6 to 7 is 50% full piercing damage, which is nice, but because it's only on one single target and all the other characters that have got essential tier 4 upgrades, I would just take this one up to level 6. For the special, we have a skill called Telekinetic Armament. Now, this is 4 turns to charge and comes fully charged. However, I would say it's a skill that you want to genuinely hold on to if you know that the enemy team's about to throw some buffs up on themselves due to the cleanse element of it, so don't always use it first turn. Now, in regards to what it actually does, you firstly attack primary target for a full 200% piercing damage. You then chain to 3 adjacent targets for 200% piercing damage. You clear 2 positive effects from each target, so that's up to 8 positive effects overall you're clearing, and with our extremely high focus, there's a very high chance you'll be successful, and like most attacks like this, counter attack will break the chain. Now, in regards to how high you want to take this, the difference from 6 to 7 is 40% piercing damage to the primary targets and also the additional targets as well. So the basic wasn't worth upgrading to level 7 because it was only primary target. This one, because it's full piercing damage to 4 characters, it's one that I would say that if you do feel you've got some extra tier 4 materials and you've upgraded the more essential skills in other characters, it's one that can certainly be worth upgrading as well. We now come to the ultimate, and this is where things really get interesting with Psylocke. So this is called Astral Butterflies. It's 6 turns to charge and comes fully charged. Now, it's attacking only a primary target for a small amount of additional damage than over what the basic is doing, so don't use this just for the sake of it on a single target to do damage. If you need to do damage, use the basic instead. Save this for when your team has got a ton of debuffs on them. Now, in regards to the mechanics of it, you'll transfer 2 negative effects from each ally to primary target, and you transfer all negative effects from self and X-Men allies to primary targets. This is set up really to counteract all the bleeds and all the blinds you get from the Brotherhood at the start of a match. Now, in regards to the transfer, so there's certain debuffs that stack and other ones that don't. So the ones that stack will be your bleed. So let's say, for example, over the course of your whole team, you've got something like 20 bleeds on you. You've got 4 bleeds on each character. That would actually apply the full 20 bleeds to that single character that you attack. If you have, for example, 2 characters in your team and one of them has one ability block and the other one has, for example, 2 ability block stacks on them, then it will transfer the larger stack. They won't be additive, so what it would do is just transfer, in this instance, the 2 ability block to that particular target. It's quite hard to actually explain, and hopefully I did manage that okay there, but that's how the transferring of the debuffs actually work. Now, in regards to the damage portion, you attack primary target for 300% piercing damage, so that's only 30% more damage than the basic, and that's why I'm saying use the basic unless your team have debuffs on them. And with this one, and this is very important, the attack cannot miss, and that's so that when Magneto actually blinds at the start of a match, she can still hit with this attack and put all the debuffs back on the enemy team. Now, the difference from level 6 to 7 is pretty big. On your X-Men characters, you either transfer 3 debuffs or transfer all debuffs. Because you'll be getting a ton of stacks of bleed from the actual Brotherhood team, this is one that I would say is an essential upgrade, so you want to take this one all the way up to level 7. Now, that's all the abilities covered, so let's jump in and have a look at the synergies. When it comes to characters that Psylocke can work well with, the most obvious choice firstly would be X-Men characters. Her kit is really set up specifically so that she can slot in very nice into that team. Due to her tags being hero and brawler, she can actually fit really well into the team with Miss Marvel as well, and they don't really have a great way of cleansing, so she's able to do that for them. Finally, a really fun combination you could use would be Scientist Supreme and Aim Infector. And the reason I've chosen those two is they will apply debuffs on themselves, and the your other teammates as well, and they actually are faster than Psylocke, so they can apply them at the start of her turn, and then straight away she can use all those debuffs and just fling them on a single solitary character. That can be really fun. I don't think it's going to be the new meta or anything like that, but it is a fun mechanic to play around with. Now, that's the characters she works well with, so let's have a look at the characters you want to avoid, and these are also characters that can be useful for shutting her down. We start off here with characters that can limit the effectiveness of her ultimate and all the debuffs she'll be putting on your team. So characters that can help out in that regard would be the likes of Scientist Supreme, who can flip them. You have Psylocke, who can send them all back again. You've then got Jessica Jones, Rescue and Ronan, and they all have the full cleanse on their team. We then have characters that get stun in their kit, so that includes the likes of Black Widow, Mantis and Mordo. They can be really useful because if you think back to the passive, if she is stunned and other characters are dropping below 50% health, or if she drops below it, then her passive won't actually proc and she won't give herself the evade and the counter, so that can really help there if you want to burn her down. Finally, we have characters that could apply ability block to her, and that would stop her using that ultimate and transferring all the debuffs. The only thing you need to watch out for, if her passive is maxed out, then she'll spawn with the evade, so you'll need to use another character that's faster to actually hit her first and strip that evade before you can apply this ability block. Now, the three characters that could do this, you've got Ant-Man, who offers 2 turns of ability block, which would be really nice. You've got Vision, and then you've also got Venom. Now, Venom's speed is 93, which is exactly the same as Psylocke, so it's a bit of a gamble because when characters have the same speed, it's really just a coin toss in regards to who goes first, but he is an option if you want to see if luck is on your side. Now, that's the characters that can shut her down and the characters you want to avoid, so let's have a look and see where she places in the tier list. Just before we actually place Psylocke in the tier list, then I'll run over some rationale by giving info on our pros and cons. Now, if we look at the pros first, you've got that incredible ultimate, which can be a complete game changer if you go up against the likes of the Spider-Verse or the Brotherhood. You've then got the fact that all 3 of her skills are actually doing full piercing damage, and you've got a high base damage as well. You've got the awesome evading counter that she can place on X-Men characters, and she can actually spawn with it as well. And then you've got the pretty decent cleanse she's got, which is on a chain skill, meaning you're cleansing various characters, and she's got a really high focus that gives you the higher chance of it actually being successful. When we look at her cons, she doesn't have many at all, but the one big one she does have that pulls her down a little bit is the fact that she's incredibly situational. So you've got that special that can be great for cleansing up to 4 characters of 2 buffs at a time, but you can't use it if they don't have the buffs, so you find you're holding off and using it a lot of the time. The same goes for the ultimate, in that if you don't have debuffs on your team, then you generally won't use that either, so you'll find that for a long time when you're playing her, you'll actually just be falling back on the basic, and you've also got that slow speed as well, so that's what can pull her down and really keep her from the much higher tiers here. Now, with everything actually added up, looking at the pros and cons, I would say that she would sit as a mid-alpha character. That's without synergies. If you were to add in her synergies, and that's the fact that when she transfers all the debuffs, if you put her on an X-Men team, she'll be transferring everything, which can be unbelievable when you're putting 20-30 bleeds on a single character. You're essentially one-shotting them in a way, and then you've got that evading counter that's applied to X-Men characters as well when they drop below 50% health. An evading counter is an awesome combination. You're not taking damage and they are taking damage. Now, with that then, if you actually add in those synergies, I would say she would move up 2 slots to be a low Omega character. It's one that was quite close to placing her in the high Omega, and once I actually get some hands-on time with the full X-Men team, then I may reevaluate this, but for now, on her own, she's mid-alpha, and with the X-Men she would be low Omega. But certainly a very interesting character. I really like what they've done with her. She looks great, her model, and her animations are fantastic. If you watched the video the other day when I done the first impressions, and it was the first time seeing the animations when she whipped out that Psybo and Psywhip, that was just awesome. I really enjoyed that a lot. So I hope this video has been helpful as always. Let me know if you've unlocked Psylocke in the comments below, how you're getting on with her, and if you agree with the rating. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.